Hi, it's Chef Mike from Fresh Acres Market. Today we're going to work with artichokes. One of the things that people aren't familiar with most is when you have to disarm them, when you have to prepare them. People are afraid to do that. Part of the preparation, there's tiny barbs on the top of each one of these leaves. When you go to prepare them to stuff or any other preparation, you can take the top off almost an inch or a little more. So you get that. The rest of the leaves you can clean down by taking these tips off, and that's just going to get rid of the barbs, because later on after you poach them, when you eat them, you're not going to want those in your way either. It's like thorns on a rose. The stem is fibrous, but it's edible. So if you're going to stand these up, which we're going to do for this preparation, check to see that it stands, and you can use the stem. You can just take the outward edge off, either by peeling it like celery, clean the bottom. This will go in the pot to cook as well. If you're not wearing gloves, in this case I am, but you can rub your hands with lemon. Raw artichokes will stain your hands. You'll have a yellowish brown color that is difficult to get out. If you first put the lemon on your hands, it'll come right. It won't stain your hands. When you cook them, if you're keeping them for any amount of time without putting them in a pot, you do the same so they don't oxidize. Once you trim the top end down and you have the stem cut from the bottom, you want to cook the artichokes in acidulated or lemon water with lemon in it. That'll keep them from turning, gives it some flavor as well. A small amount of salt is really good. You also have to weight the artichokes. They'll float. You don't want them to cook all the way. Once they start to cook, they'll sink somewhat, but you can use a clean dish towel or a small plate to keep them weighed down in the pot. They take at least, depending on size, these are globe, they take anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes to cook, sometimes more, but the way to check them when they come out is to put a paring knife into the bottom of the stem or pull one of the leaves from the artichoke. I have one here that we cooked. Now, when you go to stuff the artichoke, you have to take the center choke out, which is the heart basically. This piece right here, when you serve them cold, it's kind of a nice garnish to replace it back and put it in the center. But for today's purposes, again, it's just coming straight out. And at the bottom of the artichoke itself, where the choke is, the rest is edible except for the term choke, I think, comes from the fact that if you were to ingest these, you would choke. These things here are all just stringy fiber, okay? So those come out, and once it's ready, once those things are removed, you have just the bottom on the inside. Everything else is edible. This appetizer is filled with a scampi mixture, something very simple. These are freshly cooked 21-25 shrimps, and they're cut into small pieces. Made very simply, again, with tons of garlic, olive oil, fresh parsley, and salt and black pepper. So you can top these with melted butter when you serve them, or reduced white wine if you choose. You can add breadcrumbs or cheese on top, grated Parmesan, whatever your taste. You get to eat it in two stages. You eat the leaves off first, and then the scampi out of the center. All right, once they're stuffed and finished, you can just heat them in a low oven at 325 to 350. And when they're done, you can use whatever presentation you choose. Here we have the radicchio and lemon. Depends on what sauce you're using or whatever else you're pairing it with. But again, it's a good first appetizer, and it'll introduce people to artichokes.
Artichokes are a real delicacy. It was really neat to see Chef Mike work with these artichokes. I've never actually watched someone stuff an artichoke. I wasn't sure how to take the choke out and all that. That was really cool. The shrimp scampi stuffing, of course, is rich with garlic. You have the bitterness of the artichoke. This is a pretty complex dish to try to match a wine with. For this, I've selected a Gruner Veltliner from Austria. It's obscure wine in America, but Gruner Veltliner is a wine that does go beautifully with bitter sort of foods. It goes well with asparagus. Actually, in Austria, every year they have a festival called Spargelfest, where they match up all the Gruner Veltliners made that year with asparagus and pick the #1 wine for asparagus every year. This one from Walter Glatzer is a great choice. It has a white pepper sort of spice, beautiful, beautiful fruit, and it'll go just great with these artichokes. This is a super appetizer to have. I'm Michael Quinlan from Table and Vine. For recipe tips, food and wine matching advice, anything you need, come on by Table and Vine. We'll be happy to help.